what's happening, everybody? This is Plum Darkness. As of now, it's still Plum Darkness. Well, but the channel's called Plum Darkness. Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is Plum Darkness. As of now, it's still Plum Darkness. Well, but the channel's called Plum Darkness. Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is Plum Darkness. As of now, it's still Plum Darkness. Well, but the channel's called Plum Darkness. Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is Plum Darkness. As of now, it's still Plum Darkness. Well,
Hey everybody, what's happening? Plum Darkness back with a longer-awaited video. Kind of been busy the past few weeks, especially on my days off. I had nieces over, nephews over, had a festival thing I went to. So, also been playing a little bit more guitar. Just picked up a new amp today, so it's way better than my last one. My other one was kind of buzzing out on me. But anyways, yeah, so it's gonna be a full kind of discussion video today, and with some gameplay from various games. So I've been kind of pushing it out, but you know, this video is gonna be about single player games, which if you ever see me stream in the past, either on my Twitch channel or my YouTube channel, or see any of my other videos, which by the way are on my playlist on my channel. So definitely like, subscribe, and comment, and click on the bell. It sounds so shitty to say all that. To be honest with you, the whole bell thing too is off topic here. I hardly ever do that, but then again, I don't get notified when people are on. So, but anyways, you know, if you guys subscribe, you know, you will see the my hundreds of videos, and they're all organized in playlists and stuff. So anyways, if you guys know, I like single player games, and I typically play those the most. Now multiplayer games I'll play every once in a while, but multiplayer has definitely changed in the way it used to be. Now of course maybe it wasn't called multiplayer, but really that's what the idea was: multiple players, multiplayer. So you know how it started off with single player games. I shouldn't even say started off, because multiplayer has kind of always been there since the invention of gaming. You know, whether it's in arcades or home consoles, like, you know, with Pong and stuff, it had a two-player option. So single player and multiplayer games have been there since pretty much side by side since the beginning. But I would say the difference is that there has always been an emphasis on single player games up until, let's say, you know, PS2, PS3 generations. But we started seeing a turn over to the multiplayer side. So we'll discuss over that in the you know, throughout the video. But anyways, you know, where single players kind of started, where multiplayer games started, and where are they at now? Obviously, single player games are not as prevalent as they used to be, not big money makers like they used to be, compared to multiplayer games that make even the shittiest multiplayer games make companies, you know, they make their bang for their buck for that, you know. So, and then single player games, there's just too many shitty single player games and not enough like mid tier or AAA titles, as you should say, as we say. Anyways, here's the video. So, shout out to everybody who did watch my last video and commented. I think DJ probably was only one of the few ones that do comment and watch my videos, and Hazard as well. So thank you very much, and we'll see you guys soon. Hey everybody, welcome back. So starting up this video, we have some Elden Ring, one of my favorite From Software games. Definitely a long game. You get tired of it. That's why like the replayability is kind of like down there. You beat a couple times, you're tired because the game's so large. But it's a great game. This is just a recent run I made. Made my character look like Ciri from Witcher series, Witcher 3 to be specific. So anyways, so talking about single player games and multiplayer games. So as I mentioned before, they've been around pretty much the same time as single player games are coming out in the home consoles and arcades and things like that. There were just games that were designed to play by yourself, and there were games that were designed to play with your friends, and the games in both. So you get games like Pong, you can play against the AI, but then you can, or or Pac-Man or Galaga, but then you had the option to play with a second player. So they've been around at the same time. And then they kind of just worked their, but it's always been like, in my opinion, it's always been at this point to where it's like it's a single player game with the multiplayer aspect to it, a couch co-op aspect, as I used to say couch co-op, which is the idea of like split screens, and that's commonly known as a split screen, but two players in the same screen or a split screen, whatever it is, right? But they had that aspect to it. But then like games as they got to the next generation Nintendo, or the next generation Super Nintendo, now you got games that were starting to show some promising multiplayer / co-op components to it. So Mario Kart's definitely a fun game, but if anyone who grew up with Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart, should say, definitely knows that the game is a lot funner when you play with your buddies. And that game had 4-player. So, let's move up to another generation, PlayStation 1 and 64 era. Now you got games like GoldenEye. GoldenEye had a solid single-player campaign, right? Or a single-player component to it, right? But that game today is known primarily for its multiplayer. So now there's there's games like that. Super Smash Bros. Another one. Pokemon Galaxy, Pokemon Stadium. That's, I think it's next generation. And the Game Boy. With the ability to link up. These are now things that emphasize the multiplayer aspect. And now it was kind of like blurring the lines between, now is this a single player game with the multiplayer aspect, or is this a multiplayer game with the single player aspect? And it was starting to get to that point to where it was starting to cross over. But then we wouldn't see that. I would say we wouldn't see that until the PlayStation 2 kind of era, or PC era, like 2004, 2003, World of Warcraft, Phantasy Star Online, EverQuest, Final Fantasy 11, which was on PC and PS2, to where now these games were solely multiplayer games. Actually, most of them are MMOs or MMORPGs, massive multiplayer online RPGs or online games. Where you had to have an internet connection. You can play by yourself. You had to buy the game. You had to pay the monthly fees for the game. And that's where the money, and this is the distinguishment, that's where the money came. And I think that's where they realized that. Because when you play a single player game, as you guys know, even today, is that it has some, the good noticeable ones will have a replayability, right? You can go back, play to higher difficulty, collect all the collectibles, things like that, or get trophies. I think it's another reason why trophies were invented, to kind of do a replayability of single player games too. Because, that was it for the game. You beat it, and that was it. If it had DLC, which DLC didn't come out until the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 3 era, really, Xbox 360 era. But single player games, you beat them, boom, done. You're out. You move on to the next game. That's a one-time purchase. This is before DLC. Now, a multiplayer game, the strictly MMO game. Now all of a sudden, now you play the game, or you buy the game, you pay that fee, you buy some cosmetic stuff. Now you're realizing that these people are these game developers or production companies are making so much money, bank off of one game, off of one person, and I think that other eventually bled into single player games with the invention of the DLC, downloadable content. So now here's another way we can extend the life of a single player game, and it's all about money, by the way, too. So, but that's what's keeping single player games alive for so long. Look at Red Dead Redemption on the first Red Dead Redemption on PS3, Xbox 360, and all that. Had a great solid campaign. All right. But what kept that game going, because it didn't have a Red Dead Online like Red Dead 2 has. What kept that game alive was the DLC, and specifically was the Undead Nightmare DLC, one of the best DLCs ever created for a single player game. In my opinion, it's so good. Grand Theft Auto 5. Here's another one. Grand Theft Auto 5 had had several DLC, none of which was released for the single player component. That's definitely an online game with a single player component. And that's, when you start getting into the PS3 and then obviously the PS4 and on there, now you're seeing a lot more games have a focus and emphasis on multiplayer because they know there's so much money to be involved in multiplayer games. And the money usually is tied with people playing the game longer. So people who play Call of Duty Warzone or Call of Duty multiplayer or the Zombies Online or Grand Theft Auto, they're playing Grand Theft Auto. They bought the game. They're still playing Grand Theft Auto, but they're not playing the single player campaign or in any of those games I mentioned. They're playing the multiplayer aspect, the online aspect to it, and they're investing their money, their real life money, into in-game currency for most of these games. Final Fantasy 11, Final Fantasy 14 has it, World of Warcraft. It's the money, and it's not like single player games were losing their touch. I mean, there's been so many great single player games over the years. It's just that it wasn't enough to keep people interested to play it for over a period of time. I mean, every once in a while you get a great single player game that doesn't necessarily have DLC, even though most will do have DLC. Like say Dark Souls 1 had one DLC, which was kind of hard if you didn't have a guide or you watch video online. You don't even access it. You had to pay for it. But games like Dark Souls, for example, have replayability because of the different character builds and then just the difficulty and things like that. Not every single player game does that though. A lot of games like Bulletstorm. If you guys have played Bulletstorm is a very fun game, but you play it once or twice, you're not playing it any longer. Like you're generally not playing it anymore. There's so many examples of single player games that are, I would say, mid tier or even like the indie level or even low tier, like the shitty games that you play. They're fun to play, but that's like you're done. And there's not enough of and then the AAA titles, which they come out every single year, and I would say on average is maybe about 3 to 4 of those really good AAA title games that I remember that are single player. But the majority of games are going to obviously be multiplayer, because even a multiplayer game, online game, a battle royale game like Fortnite or Apex Legends, they're going to make a shitty online game, multiplayer game is still going to make more money. I guarantee it, from in-game transactions and and things like and have more people play it longer than say a mid-tier, even a AAA title. There's probably more people that played Apex Legends than which to me is not as good as some of the other battle royale kind of style games. But that's just me, because I don't play them a lot. But pick one, whatever. I guarantee more people have played that over God of War on PS4, the remake or the reboot, I should say. Just more money made involved in it, and I think that it started with the strictly online games on the PS1 era, World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy 11 and whatnot. But then with that, they realized that they can enhance the single player games with the DLC, which they have, and pretty much that's where we're at right now. I mean, I love single player games, and I think single player games are going to be around. Single player games are going to be around forever. But I do definitely think that there's going to be, it could possibly get to the point to where there's going to be less and less good ones made and more bad ones made. I'm not shitting on indie games though, but indie games, I mean, I think indie games definitely ruined the PlayStation Vita. It could have been a great system, but there's too many damn fucking Japanese games, dude, and I hated it. But anyways, there could be a lot of monetization involved. There could be incentives to buy cosmetics. That they're trying to cheapskate their way to make people play in single player games longer. I mean, look at Resident Evil Village. Resident Evil 8 Village was a great game. I loved it. It's a great story. It's sad what happened to Ethan. No spoilers to say what happened to him, guys, if you didn't play it. But I played it. I beat it all difficulties. Mercenaries was fun, and I played it on PC as well. And then I stopped playing it, and it's almost been. I mean, it's been a year, but I've been playing it. It's been years since it's been out, but I've been playing it here and there, but not as often as I like to play some of these games I like. These big games. But now they're coming out with the DLC. So, but there's a lot of games like that. So, like, where here's DLC to keep you guys interested, but they release them kind of too late. And another thing about DLC is that it also gives an incentive, to me at least, it gives an incentive for game developers to push out a game, but then to not really release the full game that they wanted to. That they saved off that content for DLC, which they could have been just the regular content. There's a lot of games that you can think of that kind of do that. I know. I have a feeling that, like, for example, like with Resident Evil 8, or Resident Evil 3, the game that's playing right now, is definitely could have had some DLC by now. I don't think it's ever going to have DLC, but it definitely could have. It could have had a better extra mode, mercenaries, because that's kind of what the original. If you ever played the original Resident Evil 3, did is that it was a very short-lived game. Only had 2 difficulties, really, and it was a really short game. You beat it in a couple hours. But then the replayability came out is, when you played on a higher difficulty. Then after that, it's like, if you wanted to collect all the files and things like that, get all the different epilogues, you can do that. That didn't really keep people going in that game, but it was the mercenaries mode that was really fun that kept it going. And there wasn't really a mercenaries mode, and there's not a mercenaries mode in this game. Resident Evil 2 remake, on the other hand, had a lot of extra content to it. And it kept people going, and it came out shortly. And then it came out not too long after the base game came out, and that wasn't a game where I felt like they gypped you out on content. I think developers pushed out a really good, solid game with full content. They could have done the same thing in Resident Evil 3 though, but they didn't. I feel like they didn't give enough of a full game. But I think that's what happened with a lot of these DLCs is that they're looked at as fillers to keep people going as opposed to just enhancers. That's why there's not that many good solid DLC games or DLC for single player games. They're far in between. Like Red Dead Redemption, the first one, that was a solid, if not one of the best DLCs for a single player game. Just because like it had a really good single player game, but then like you just added to it. It shouldn't, I think DLC should not be meant to fill in, Anyways, here's some gameplay of Evil Dead. Here's another game. This is a strictly online game, by the way, and I like this game though, but there's a lot of bugs to it, and this is definitely a game you want to play with your friends because you play with randoms. It just kind of gets people don't communicate. People just don't listen. People go on their own. They don't really know how to play. You have to know what you're doing too. And another reason why I don't like playing these multiplayer games too is that there is a big, huge sense of competitiveness in it. And I really don't like being competitive in general with people, with strangers online. Competitive with people I know, like friends, that they're sitting, like back in the day when we played Super Smash Bros. It was very competitive to play with your friends. But it was, get angry, throw shit around, whatever. But they're right there with you. Now you don't have the people with you, and now you're playing this online game and trying to be, competitive and trying to. It does kind of feel shitty to not ruin someone's day, or ruin someone's experience when you're not playing the game right. So, but anyways, I think in the future, I hope that they don't do the single player games. Like monetize it like they did kind of with give me 1 second.
up a notch. Get out of my face! Eat it, you evil bastard! This is what you get! This is how we do it in Michigan! This is how we do it in Michigan! I gotta reload! Reloading! I can't do this anymore! Ooh, I'm just warming up. Don't piss me off. Ooh, I'm just warming up. Get out of my face. All right, who's next?
Sorry about that. I had to go grab something to eat, but like I guess I just go ahead and let the video play because it's actually a really cool, fun game, Evil Dead. But you know, again, I wasn't playing with people I know. I just played with randoms, but it was actually a good match. But anyway, so kind of to conclude this video, to end this up with some Final Fantasy 14 gameplay, is that I think single player games, I hope they don't get monetized or have in-game ads like Street Fighter 5 did. It's kind of shitty of Capcom to do that. They're going to be far in between, and they're constantly going to be in competition with multiplayer games. They're going to try to get people's attention and keep it as long as possible. And they're going to find different ways to do it. Some are going to be shady. Some are going to not. Some are going to be okay, decent. Some are going to be. Most are going to be shady, I would say. You know, let me go. I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys like multiplayer games? Do you like single player games? Which one's your preference? And if you like single player games, what are some of your favorite single player games? You know, or memorable ones. You know. One of the first ones I enjoyed the most, that got me really into gaming, was like Legend of Zelda, like Link to the Past. That was just such a fantastic game because it came out, was, you know, young, but then like at the same time, it's like you figured out what to do by just doing and exploring the world. And you know, strategy guides weren't there, YouTube wasn't out. You know, you had to figure out. And it was a very social. A lot of these games, especially in like, you know, like say Pokemon and the Game Boy, were very social, even though they're single player, because you had to talk with your friends who played it. Like, hey, what'd you do? How'd you beat this level? How do you beat this dungeon? And that's how it was. And I like that. You don't get that experience with the multiplayer system, but you know, or multiplayer, you know, game. But you know, I like both. I really do enjoy both. But I prefer to play multiplayer games with friends and people I know, you know, family and things like that. But if you guys like multiplayer games, what are some of your favorite multiplayer games? You know, mine were like one of my first, like, especially online. I mean, obviously Super Smash Bros. And those are like really great games and games like memorable experiences. But like one of my first online games that got me hooked to online games at the beginning, before people were as trolly as they were, as they are now, was Killzone on the PlayStation 2, and the online components. That was an early game that had a single player campaign, but a multiplayer was the better part of it. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. I like to hear from you guys. Hopefully I don't really hear too much from you guys, but next video I'm hoping to do either like a top 10 or top 20 RPGs of all time, or just some like the top games that I'm excited for, upcoming games that I'm excited for. I'm exciting. Hopefully they'll come up next week. If not, then maybe another next week after that. I don't know. I've been playing a lot of guitar. Kind of invested myself in guitar playing, and like I said, I got a new amp, and I got that new guitar, the Ibanez, and learning some cool stuff on my lessons here, and yeah, it's been cool. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the rest of the video, whatever the rest of the clip here, and then we'll catch you guys later on the flip side. Peace.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is Plum Darkness. As of now, it's still Plum Darkness. Well, but the channel's called Plum Darkness. Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is Plum Darkness. As of now, it's still Plum Darkness. Well, but the channel's called Plum Darkness. Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is Plum Darkness. As of now, it's still Plum Darkness. Well, but the channel's called Plum Darkness. Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is Plum Darkness. As of now, it's still Plum